Great to have you here
Welcome to the podcast.
with me and my guests from around the world. Welcome to the Simone Filer podcast.
Welcome to this podcast.
Let's get into it, shall we? On the Simone Filer podcast. Brisbane self-published author Kat Element is joining me on the podcast today after having a chat with Kat on the night of our Brisbane Author Networking Group's Christmas party. I said, make sure you get your name in the hat. I'm giving away a podcast. And here we are. And we were incredibly lucky, actually, at the end of last year to get together after the COVID lockdowns and celebrate Christmas, weren't we, Kat? And welcome.
We were.
Nice to have you
Thank
here.
you. Nice to be here.
And so we're talking about COVID, and now all of a sudden the floods are happening. What is going on?
It's just crazy. It's just a crazy, crazy time. Who knows?
Like there's thrill a minute. There's never a dull moment. So
No.
Kat has self-published 2 novels under her former name, Karen Element, When There's No One There, and Dear Yvonne, which you can purchase off Amazon and other reputable online retailers, I'd imagine. When did you start writing, Kat?
So my whole life, I wanted to be a writer or a journalist, but I ended up being a nurse. Go figure. I've been doing that for over 40 years. And I thought, you know what, before I die, I better put some words down. So I have. So in 2015, I decided that I would just start writing, and I haven't stopped. And I just love it. It's just the best. It's just a way to express yourself, to get your feelings out there, hopefully, give some pleasure and enjoyment to other people that read what you write. And once you start, it's like something that you can't stop. It's like the gate opens and it's just like, why didn't I do this before? I used to write little things, and I always had pen pals, and I used to write poetry, just, little mucking around things. But to seriously sit down and write a book, it wasn't easy, but it was very rewarding, and I had some great people to help me. So you just have to, there's just some rules you have to learn, there's creativity, but there's still rules to follow. And I had to learn just the basic stuff. And it's just all about putting words down on paper.
So your first book, you just started writing. How did that come about? Was the idea there?
I went out, I was in the shop with my husband, and he picked up 3 notebooks, and they all had different colours on the cover. And because he knows that I've always wanted to write and I just haven't. And he said, pick one of these, pick a colour. And I picked the purple one because it's my favourite colour. He goes, now go and write your book. And I just did. I went home and I thought, oh, okay. It was like a sign. So I started writing that day, and I just this idea came to me. It's like a young adult kind of fantasy thing, which wasn't anything what I thought I would ever write, but it just sort of came out because I'm all about good and evil, right and wrong. I feel very strongly about that, the fine line between love and hate, things like that. And I just started writing this book about this girl who had special powers, and she was going to save the world, and she did a pretty good job of it. So I might end up doing a bit more with her, a bit of a trilogy maybe, but I just put that one on the back burner for now, like maybe the next installment. And then I'm actually adopted, and I wanted to write a story about what that's like. So my next book, Dear Yvonne, that's all about adoption back in the 60s, what it was like for the mothers, the kids, the adoptive family. So that was a very emotional journey for me. It's still fiction. It's not
about you.
It's all made up, but there's just a few things. Just the idea was there from fact, So
did that give you any closure writing that?
Well, yes, it did, because I made the end how I wanted it to be.
Oh.
So, when I was 36, I actually did meet her. So that answered a lot of questions.
Right. And did you have to do much investigating to find her?
Oh, it took me 5 years to
Wow.
find her, but I wouldn't give up. I was told that she was dead. There was all this stuff, but I just had this feeling. I thought, no, I know she's not. I just know I found her. She only lived a year after we met. She was 58. She died of cancer.
Oh.
So I only had her for a year, but it was a very massive year. Like we were so alike.
Oh.
When you grow up with no one that looks like you or has that no one's the same, and then you meet this woman, it's just looks like you, talks like you. We had the same mannerisms, like the same things. It was insane. It was just insane how alike we were, and we never met. We lived 10 minutes away from each other, my whole life.
No way. Shut the front
Yeah.
gate. Are you for
Yeah,
real?
shut the front gate. Yeah, just 10 minutes away. I could have walked past her in the street, but
Oh, my skin is crawling off me. That's insane.
So Dear Yvonne is a book really for her. You know, it's not like that. I would never have to write a book like that ever again anyway.
Yeah, I was wondering, actually, I was going to ask you because they're very, very different, both books.
They're very different. But now I've decided what I like the most is, well, I think everyone likes a good murder, don't they?
Yeah.
We all like a good murder. And, you know, we all love serial killers, at least on paper. We all do. We can't say we don't. We've got our dark desires and our, you know, bloodthirsty whatevers. But
we want to be
all
scared
like
out of our wits.
Yeah. So that's what I think is my direction.
That sounds very cool.
I really do. So I've got my third book, which I think is the genre I'll continue in. It's a book called Her Undoing. And it's about it's, I won't say because it's when it's published everybody can read it, but it's quite graphic.
Oh,
got a lot of serial killer stuff in it, but we'll still have a few good people here and there, you know, in it. So it's it
really amazes me, like your visualization and the way you can put your pen to paper to make, you know, that come alive is just outstanding. So are you just like writing, or are you picturing these pictures in your head? How does it work?
I don't know. They write it. I don't write it. I just sit there.
Right.
The characters write it. They come and tell me what they look like. They tell me what they want. They just, it's like they take over. I think a lot of writers say that.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
They do. They say that, and you sort of start to type and you go off into like a place and you get all kind of it's like you just go into this different dimension, I suppose. That sounds a bit corny, but
no, that
it feels like you're just in a different place and it just comes out. And it's just where I guess that's what a writer is, someone that can put words to, or that can do that.
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
make yourself do it. You can't, otherwise you'd only write you know, page chapter 1.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time,
if you're me.
There was someone that wanted to write a book and never quite got there, the end.
Yeah, I've got an even shorter one, Once Upon a Time, the end.
Exactly. But I mean, it's not for everyone. Everybody's got their talents. Everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. And so what about publishing?
I just love writing. I just looked up online who I thought might be good. I needed an editor, and I just found Patrice Shaw, because she had a really good website. She had a really good the way she had it set out. I liked it. It appealed to me, and I just called her.
Yeah.
And she's been helping me, her and Kirsty Ogden. You know those two girls. They've been fantastic.
Yeah, they're good girls.
I've just been with them.
Your third book, so have you finished writing it, or where are you at with it?
Nearly. I'm nearly there. Just got to see how many more people are going to die who I don't like.
Right.
But no, it's I'm enjoying writing it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense.
Killing off a few bad guys, you know.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, yep. So how far, well, I mean, you're going to obviously self-publish this one as well?
Yeah.
And would you ever be interested in doing an audio book?
Well, I think so, as long as I don't talk. I tend to talk a bit too quick sometimes, but I think it would be good because it seems to be the way of the future. Everyone's got audio books.
I think everyone's so busy all the time that they don't have time to sit down anymore and actually read, you know.
And I'm actually all about saving the planet too, so we don't need to waste the paper on paper books either.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I love books, I mean, I grew up with books.
Yeah.
I grew up with the library. When I was little, I had an ironing board. I was only a little kid and I set the ironing board up. That was my library table. And I got some little paper bags from the sweet shop and I stuck them in the front of my golden books and I made library cards.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I love that.
This is a while ago, but and I just always love books and reading and, you know, things like that. But I realised, you know, we've got to try to be a paperless society and not have as much paper. So audio books obviously are the way of the future. It's the way things are probably going. Everyone's doing that now.
Well, I love a good murder mystery, so I would love to hear that.
I know you'll like this one because it's a lot of that goes on.
Excellent. So let's go back to your mum. Was she a writer? Did she have anything to do with writing?
No, she didn't. She was quite sad because she had to give up a baby for adoption because my father wasn't the best person in the world.
Right.
Actually, when I was 2, he was killed. He was murdered.
Wow.
That's another thing. That's another thing that's happened. That is in the book. That that is true. That did happen. He was a little bit of a womanizer, he was, according to what my mother said. He didn't want to help her. And back in those days, there was no help. You got pregnant, you were on your own. Like her mother had passed away of cancer not long before that, so she didn't have anyone to help her.
Right.
And she had no choice, so she ended up, that was all she could do. And so she was quite sad. She wasn't the happiest of people because she carried that around with her.
Yeah, of course.
But when she met me, it was like the light came on. Like it was like, according to her friend, people at the time, they said she's a different person.
Wow.
She's just a different person. So I was really, if nothing else, I was really grateful that I could do that for her.
Yeah.
And I could just turn up and say hello. Like the day I called her, I had 3 people left on my list. I was calling so many people. There was 3 people left on the list. And I thought, if it's not one of these people, I can't do this anymore. It was too emotionally wrenching. It was too hard. So I rang the first lady, and it was a lady in Queensland, and I convinced myself that was my mother, but it wasn't. But by the time we finished talking, she was in tears, and she was saying, "I wish I was your mother."
Oh,
I got her all.
Wow, what a roller coaster!
Oh yeah. And then the second one I rang, she just goes, "Hello," and I thought, "Oh, this one sounds a bit crazy." And of course, that was my mother.
Sounding a bit like you.
She was so like me. It was just insane. And I just had to ask her. I said, so I had this little spiel. I'm just doing my family history. I'm just trying to trace. And I gave my adopted name, like my name that I knew was my name. And I said, do you know any Patricias? And she goes, no, I don't think so. No. And then I said, and I gave my birthday. I said, does that date mean anything to you? And that was when she just went really quiet. She didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. And then she dropped the phone because then she knew. And then she came back, and then I heard her breathing on the phone, and I said, it's you, isn't it? It's you, isn't it? And I told her what her birthday was, because I got a little bit of information, just some identifying information, because before 1991, you weren't allowed to know anything. And then they allowed people to find out, where they came from. So I knew that her name, and I knew her birthday. And so that was it. And I'm saying, oh my God. And she's going, oh my God. Like it was just, you can imagine the two of us are just hysterical.
What?
And I said, I want to come and meet you. She goes, oh, you can't come yet. I have to listen, wait. I have to put some colour in my hair. Like
bless her.
She said, I said, all right. And she rang me back about an hour later. She goes, no, you come now. And then the other thing, when I finally got to her house, because I was in Victoria at the time and she was in Sydney, and I got to the house, but I was running late because I missed the train or something, I can't remember. And she sat on the lounge looking away from the door because she didn't think it was fair that she saw me before I saw her, so she wasn't looking through the window. And she just sat there until I knocked on the door. And then when I knocked on the door, she opened it. I went, oh, there you are. She was only 5'1", and I was looking straight ahead because I'm 5'6".
Right.
And I thought, oh, you did? Oh, there you are. She was this little, but she was like, it was like looking into a mirror. She was so like me. I spent the night there, and I was lying there going, I'm in my mother's house. I can't believe that I'm actually in my mother's house. It was the weirdest feeling. All I ever wanted to do, I wanted to sit on the floor with my head in her lap, and I did that. I sat on the floor and put my head in her lap. I just said, I've always wanted to do this. And then a few months later, it was my 37th birthday, and she'd always wanted to give me a kid's party. So we did. We had the fairy bread, the chocolate crackles, the balloons, the whole, like a little kid's party. She's always wanted to do that.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with me.
I know, that's all true. And then, unfortunately, a couple of months later, she got very unwell, and she only lasted 3 months after that. She had severe cancer, but that's life. But I found her, and she found me, so we had that, and it made a big difference to her life.
Did you meet any other relatives off the back of that?
I had to no, because it wasn't really anyone. She'd lost touch with people when her mother died. Because her mother had passed away, and her siblings were all gone to the wind. They'd gone anywhere, and her father died as well. So they were all split up, and so no, I had 2 half brothers. But when Mum passed away, we kind of didn't have it. We didn't sort of go any further. But we hung out for a little while at the time. But then we all went back to our own. It was just like a little hiatus in our lives. We all got together and did things, and then we all went back to where we were, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I should write a book about it, so I did.
Yeah, good for you. That is a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing so much.
That's okay.
And so now you're on to your third book, and hopefully not too far away from publishing. Are you going to self-publish as well?
Yeah, I'll do the same again because that works. I mean, I've heard horror stories that people, they get traditional publishing and then they don't own the books anymore.
Yeah, I think
I know enough about it to know I don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got a friend who wrote a trilogy and she sent the first book off and then she wrote the other two, then she self-published the other two, but she couldn't get the first one back. She did eventually, but it took a long time. Like she wanted it back because she wanted the trilogy, the set. That was difficult. And I thought, and plus I think self-publishing is the way to go now too, don't you?
Definitely. I think the internet
Everybody's doing that.
Internet has opened up so much, that you can do so much more yourself. You don't need big power companies to take all your royalties and everything.
But that's what
else
I'm saying. When you write a book, it's your baby, and you're giving your baby away. Well, there's been enough of that in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not going to happen.
Well, I've absolutely loved our chat today. I wish I could, chat with you a lot longer, and I hope that we can catch up. I'd love to hear your book. So, if you feel like doing your audio book, please come in. We do have another Bang event coming up. I really hope you can be there.
No, I'll be there.
That'll be awesome. So it's our
I'll be there.
well, hopefully if we don't get flooded out.
Oh, well,
I don't
it's
think
another
so.
week away. Maybe we'll be okay.
Yeah. But so you've got to look out for Cat Element. Have you got anywhere people can contact you or find out more about you, Cat? You were saying before we got on the podcast that you've got a Facebook page.
Well, I will have. I'll get that up and running a little bit better, and I think I'll make a Cat Element author page. I'll do that.
I think that's a great idea. Great idea.
I'll do that.
But briefly before you go, we might shed some light on Cat Element. You were Karen. What's the reason that you're saying, I don't really want to be that anymore? I
think if you've got a chance to change your name and you want to, then you should. And if you change it you can change your pen name. You can have whatever name you want. I mean, J.K. Rowling writes under Robert Braith. What is it, Robert? She uses a man's name because she doesn't want to be forever tied to Harry Potter.
Right. I know Stephen King does.
She used J.K. Rowling because apparently young boys didn't want to read books written by a woman because she was targeting at young boys. So if it was J.K., she could have been a girl or a boy. It's all these little marketing tricks, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Cat suits you.
Cat's a nickname for Karen anyway, and I just think it sounds a bit more snappy.
Yeah. Like you.
And
you're
Karen,
awesome.
The name Karen has got a bit of a bad press, but I mean, it doesn't worry me that much. But I just saw the name Cat in a book, and I thought, I might just shorten my name and have that on the front cover of my next book.
That'll look very funky.
Forevermore.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
for sure. Well, thank you so much for talking to me again. And if you want to find out more about Cat, you can find Cat Element author coming to Facebook very soon.
Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you so much for your time too.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And my guests from around the world.
Thank you for being a part of this show.
The Simone Filer Podcast. Catch you next time.
It's a wrap.